And we're live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome everyone to this week's very prestigious NYM community call, as Suda would put it. He's unfortunately not here with us today because he's spending these days well-deserved skiing in some mountains. But I'm super lucky and happy that I can step up to replace him or to be his stand-in for the time being, because payments, the topic today is NymVPN payments and many things around it. And I have here today Jaya Klara Brekke, our CSO, and Ania Piotrowska, head of research from NYM. How are you doing today, ladies?
Very good.
Very good, thank you, Max.
It's a very intense week.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit tired, but I'm also very excited and quite energized despite it all. It's nice seeing all the pieces come together.
Yeah, exactly. Anya, how are you today? In this
I'm
intense
good,
week?
thank you. Yes, also intensive week, but that's a good thing. I'm also very happy to be here again. Last time I've been here 2 weeks ago, so yeah, I've missed everyone. It's nice to join again.
So nice to hear. Great. So just a general comment for all of our audience listeners. Hey guys, welcome. You can leave your comments and questions anytime across the YouTube or Twitch channels. I'm gonna keep an eye on your comments, and I'm just gonna give a brief overview before we dive in straight to the topic. And then in the end, as usual, we're gonna give a POAP link to anyone to claim it. So the context, let's start with the context. So what is happening for those who haven't heard this by now, since the previous weeks? So Jaya, could you share us like a big picture of what's happening at NYM? Why are we so excited today? Why is it so busy this week? What's up at NYM? Yeah.
Absolutely. Right, I'm gonna zoom all the way out, right? Try and get a kind of like mega kind of overview of what's been going on, not just this week, but let's say the kind of big picture story from the past like few years, really, because I think that's where kind of mine and Anya's excitement also is coming from over the next, with what's happening over the next few weeks. So basically, NYM, we're building an entirely new privacy system, right? And it's a system to securely and privately route traffic through the internet. Now, when we did the initial token raise, that allowed us to actually bootstrap the whole network and prepare the kind of supply side, let's say. So we've got, all these fantastic node operators all over the world that are operating this infrastructure, which is completely novel. And then it's been slowly putting in the pieces to ensure that the supply side is ready. The demand side is ready, is catered for. So we're now going to launch the NymVPN, which is the first commercial app to run on the NYM mixnet. And what that means is that we're also closing the loop on the entire token economics that we've set in motion. This makes me very happy. It means that the token is shifting out of this kind of speculative space where we're promising that we're going to deliver something and it's going to be cool, and finally, we're actually, delivering with a real world product, addressing a real world need. And we can actually connect the token valuation to something that is tangible and that is real. And that actually serves real people in the world, especially in this day and age, where we're seeing more and more censorship, more and more global volatility. So that's kind of the big picture. The app itself is going live on the 13th of March as a commercial app on top of the NYM network. So what's been happening this week and what's happening over the next 3 weeks until we go live is that final sprint. And a major piece, major milestone in that final sprint is the payment mechanism. Now, why are we making such a big deal about a payment mechanism? Normally when people go out there and buy something online, there's lots of kind of existing systems that make that very easy. It's like, you've got your credit card, you've got your wallet, etc. And there's plug and play systems that enable that. The problem is we weren't satisfied with the quality of those services, in the sense that we also are trying to achieve something that's like a little bit deeper, that effectively will preserve people's privacy when they're paying for things, and prevent their use of NymVPN being linked to their payment data. So that's like one big novel piece that we're achieving. And Anya can go into far more detail than I can about how we're actually achieving that technically, and all the kind of fantastic work that's gone into that, because it's really it's significant work, and it really makes a difference between launching a quick and dirty thing ages ago to actually like taking the time to build something solid that lives up to the promises that we're trying to make. So that's one aspect. And then the other aspect that Ania can also supply us with more details on is, of course, the perpetual buyback mechanism, which is another very novel token economic mechanism that we're putting in place with the payment system to actually make sure that the token price is, reflected or reflective of the demand for the VPN. So that's kind of big picture. That's what we're here to talk about today. And over the course of this week, we've been gearing up for that to actually go live. So that's entailed a chain upgrade in the background. So those of you who are paying attention in the channels, we managed a successful chain upgrade this week. So congratulations to everybody who's been involved in that. A big thank you to the validators for being so responsive. We managed to in a record amount of time. So that went super well. And then, of course, we're kind of doing all the work in the background now to actually test the payment mechanism. So that's the big picture.
And I couldn't be more excited either, because I think fundamentally the reason I joined Nym 2 years ago, the community, was exactly to see this happen, because it's not something that 99% of other crypto projects can say that they do actually create real life value. And this is the moment when the value creation starts to work together, the token economics magic. So I just wanna, I'm also like, wow, I can't believe it, we're here, but we made it. And let's hear the other deep dive, or like kind of the behind workings of so Anya, like I think the question is, how is our payment mechanism different than a Stripe payment, or what's new here?
Yeah, so when we've been creating them, like our main goal was to offer people an opportunity to perform online activities while protecting their privacy. And protecting their privacy means making all of those online activities unlinkable and anonymous and so on. Now, when you create like a commercial app, you're kind of meeting with this demand to offer, to facilitate different types of payments, like payments with credit cards, so via Stripe, payments with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, more privacy-oriented cryptocurrencies, Monero, Zcash, and so on. And now the question, which pops very important is like, okay, you're doing those payments, you facilitate them. All of them come with a certain level of trade-off in terms of users' privacy. If you're gonna make payments via Stripe with credit cards, of course, Stripe as a separate company is regulated by various GDPR policies and laws, and they have to retain some type of information about those payments. If you're making payments with BTC or other cryptocurrencies, these payments are not really private or anonymous. They're most like pseudo-anonymous. Like still, you can look at the Bitcoin blockchain and trace the transactions which are happening, the wallets which are being involved, trace back the history, and so on. And the same kind of gonna boil down to the more privacy-oriented cryptocurrencies, which although they enhance the privacy on chain, they still have the limitation. So one very important question was, how do we combine this type of payments with the usage of the NymVPN in a way that will not enable anyone, whether it's us or an outsider, to link the payment with the online activities? And that's where we introduce our private payments and the ZK NYMs. So the idea is, in a very simple words, is that we want to cut this link between the moment of you paying for the NymVPN and the moment when you start using the NymVPN and all your online activities, which you're gonna be doing with our app. And that's why we introduced the ZK NYMs. So ZK NYMs is a cryptographic protocol. It's not a type of cryptocurrency. It's a cryptographic protocol which allows you to prove that you paid for the NymVPN in a way that does not expose any sensitive information about you. It does not expose any personal or identifiable information about you. It doesn't contain any information about your original underlying payment for the service. It's just a very simple yes or no. You can access the network, you paid for it. And that's how we let people use the network and prove that they paid for it without kind of having to, expose to the nodes which are routing the traffic or are letting people use the network, the entry nodes, any information which would, leak about the user, their identity, their payments, and so on. And the way the ZK NYMs are constructed is based on anonymous credentials. There's a combination of cryptographic protocols like encryption, cryptographic commitment, zero knowledge proofs. And those combined together create this like very powerful tool, which is able to just prove in a zero knowledge that you can access the network, but does not leak any information. And the important part is that ZK names kind of happen off-chain, if you can say so. Like if you're going to compare it against cryptocurrencies, in cryptocurrencies, everything is ultimately registered on-chain and you could trace it. With ZK names, everything is happening off-chain. There is no record going into the blockchain, neither Bitcoin blockchain or NYM blockchain, saying that you've been given this ZK name and you're now spending it. So that's a very important feature, I think, because it also makes it way more private by not exposing all those little details and not allowing people, external observers to trace those usage of ZK names.
And thank you, Ania. And there's like a question actually here which kind of ties in nicely, I think, which I just want to pop up because it also came up in my head. So could other online services use ZK names in the future? So could this scheme be used for anything else than the NymVPN?
Yeah, for sure, because ZK names as the underlying protocol, they're quite versatile. It's as I said, it's a combination of cryptographic tools which operate together and tie together in a very specific way. So there is the process of obtaining the ZK name, which we call the issuance. You have the set of validators who verify some information which you provide them. Like, for example, I did purchase that subscription, or I am eligible to use this or that service, or I am over 18 years old. It's just a bunch of attributes which you want to verify. The issuing authorities can verify it. If they agree on that, they sign it and they issue the credential. Now, this credential is kind of like a token of authorization or access. And then there is the spending phase or the show phase, where you're just gonna prove to someone in an anonymous way that you have this token, it's a valid token, and it entitles you to perform a particular activity. So the way we implemented right now ZK names in our system is designed to really fit with how we want to use them for showing that the user performed the payment. But in general, as a cryptographic protocol, they can be expanded to a lot of very generic use cases, starting from kind of like digital passports, up to being a different type of payment for a different service.
Fantastic.
Just to add to that, Alex, we are already getting interest also in the scheme. So watch that space. Let's see. Right now we're all super focused on the NymVPN, but there are these other things brewing in the background.
And a lot more. I think there's also a big reveal now that we're going to talk to, because we've been talking about payments and turning on the payment, but people have been asking for weeks now and wondering how much are we actually talking about exactly. So I think that this is the right time to sort of pull back the curtain and announce the pricing of NymVPN. Jaya, if you agree. Your name is next to this little blurb here.
Sure. I tried to persuade one of our devs, Fuad, to come on board to do a live demo of the whole payment funnel, but he's too busy doing actual dev work, unfortunately. But I can reveal the pricing. I'll do so just with words this time around. Next week you'll see a nice kind of interface displaying the pricing. But effectively, 1 month subscription is going to cost 10.99 Swiss franc. That is $12.99 US, and that's for people that are just paying month by month. Now, there's a huge discount for users who buy a year subscription upfront. That is going to cost 5.99 Swiss franc and $6.99 US. And then there's an additional discount for people who want to commit to 2 years, and there we're looking at 4.49 Swiss franc. That's $5.49 US. So yeah, that's the kind of VPN pricing, which is very competitive with the rest of the VPN market, especially for a system as beefy and powerful as NymVPN. And I can also reveal, and this is hopefully exciting to those of you out there who's been with the community for a while, that paying in NYM tokens will see the biggest discount, namely 50% off all of these prices. So, that is a big, thank you to all of you in the community who've been around and effectively helped us build this thing. Yeah, will be available for a limited time, definitely the first month, and we'll see how it gets extended after that. But that's what the pricing is looking like.
Wow, great to hear. I think that's, as you said, super competitive, makes sense, and I think we do have a lot of other surprises in store for our supporters and core community, and we're gonna announce something else too. But before we do that, or before we talk about something exciting again, I think what would be nice to just go over is the actual perpetual buyback mechanism. Anya, if you want to take us through that. So basically, when someone pays in NYM, there's no buyback because the NYM is directly purchased from somewhere, thus making the market price go up. What happens if someone uses Stripe card, or what happens if someone uses later some other crypto? Can you share some insight into that?
Yeah, so as Jaya was, explaining, what we want to kind of showcase, and also one of the ideas behind NYM was that buying subscription for the NymVPN should translate to the demand for the NYM token. So the idea of the perpetual buyback is to kind of look at the customers who will be doing the fiat payments, not the NYM payments, and see if we can translate those fiat payments into the demand for NYM. And actually, there's a very easy way to do it. So how it's going to work is that every time we have a new subscription and someone pays in fiat, what we do is we kind of monitor for those subscription events. We have the whole monitoring set up, and once we register an event of creating a new subscription, which is being paid in fiat, what we do is we automatically trigger a buy order on one of the exchanges. So we simply take the information that there's a new subscription, we take the amount which was paid for that subscription, and we trigger in an automated way a buy order. And this will kind of showcase how those fiat subscription translate one-to-one to the demand for the NYM token. And so far, we're going to start with the fiat payments, and later this can be also extended to payments in other currencies because it's more or less the same concept, which we can just adjust a little bit.
Nice one. So, ladies and gentlemen, payments going live very soon, and we prepared something truly unique and a good opportunity for our core community to help us test these payments. So, without further ado, I think we successfully demonstrated how big of a deal this turning on these ZK payments for us and for the world and for actual privacy across the board. I think that all that's left is to announce, how can you help us test these? What can you get in return for testing these payments, and how would that work? Jaya, do you want to take it away to give a sneak peek intro to our campaign when it
Sure.
starts? Yeah.
I think there was a couple of questions from Beyond on the perpetual buyback, wasn't there? Should we take those first?
Yeah, and I kind of want, thank you for saying that, because I think that Anya answered this question, right? Like that, or if you want, so do we buy the NYM from Sexes to increase trading volume? That's kind of what Beyond is asking.
This is the second question.
Oh, so sorry. Yes. Yeah, I'm still new to the interface. Sorry, sudo. I'm doing my best here. Yeah, so the question is, do you plan to buy the tokens on centralized exchanges to increase liquidity, basically? And I think that Anya answered the question that basically it's a yes, no, more or less. And you're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, so exactly. Right now, we're going to start with the centralized exchanges. The whole, idea behind this perpetual buyback can also quite easily translate to decentralized exchanges if we would like to do that. But just for the initial testing and kind of checking the whole flow, we're going to start with centralized exchanges.
Thank you for that.
And I think we can take the second one also that Beyond asked, which is an interesting question in and of itself.
Yeah. Any plans on launching a paid version of the Mixnet without the VPN? So the user could install a separate Mixnet on his or her machine or office and pay a fee depending on the traffic.
Absolutely. So this is a bigger question, and Beyond, you're speaking directly to what is effectively the ambition of NYM. We're not just building this massive, infrastructure and huge network to service a single app. The ambition is, of course, that the network can service many apps and many functions. And in fact, we're having chats with various people in the crypto ecosystem and beyond on how we can move from, NYM being on the application layer to actually becoming a kind of on the protocol layer. So become like the secure routing protocol for, any activity that happens over the internet. So in short, yes, we absolutely have plans to launch a paid version of the Mixnet. This is something that I've also tasked Claudia with working out the details around the pricing for, because it's really not very easy. Working out the pricing for the VPN, you kind of are looking at market comparables and other VPNs. But the pricing for the Mixnet per se is a much more kind of murky space where we're really doing quite a lot of intensive modeling on the real world cost of routing traffic through, 5 hops and mixing it and so on and so forth. So we have a baseline that we can then kind of compare with what the demand is looking like. So in short, yes, beyond, that is where we're moving towards. And a lot of work is going on in the background to try and facilitate that.
In the meantime, we got 2 other questions from Rocio. Super nice questions. Thanks for them, Rocio. I think these also relate here. Let me just show the last one. She asks, by making it perpetual, we are going to have a fixed total amount of NYM in the market. I'm just trying to make sense of it. Jaya, do you want to answer, or should I give it a go?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, Rocio. The NYM token
1
does have a
billion.
fixed supply in general. So there's 1 billion NYM tokens. Not all of them are liquid. Of course, we've got a whole bunch in the actual mix mining contract that serves as rewards for the nodes. So the perpetual buyback doesn't really affect kind of the overall supply of NYMs. Whether it affects the liquidity of NYMs in the market, no. I mean, effectively, what the perpetual buyback mechanism does is it puts buy pressure on the token, right? So it converts any payment, any fiat payment, into NYM tokens, and that triggers buy pressure into the market. So that's where that's really the kind of main effect of this mechanism. And the reason why we're doing that, to be kind of completely blunt, is because the bigger picture aim here is to rationalize the pricing so that it actually matches demand. This is and move more towards a kind of real economy, so to speak, so that it kind of is rationalized with actual demand for the network
And
and
seeing
for the
your
VPN.
I'm
Does that
seeing
answer your
your other
question?
question in the chat, sorry, Jaya, to cut you there. And I think the answer for you also is 1 billion NYM is a fixed cap supply of NYM. There's not going to be ever more NYM than 1 billion. So it's the same with Bitcoin, 21 millions. With NYM, we have 1 billion because utility token, and there's different use case for exactly what we're discussing now. That's the use case of the NYM token, access to actual privacy.
Yeah, so similar to Bitcoin, you are correct. It's deflationary rather than inflationary in that sense.
Yes. And I'm wondering if, before diving deep into the big announcement, there's so nice questions here that I just pop some up in the not random order, but kind of that makes sense for me. Yeah, I think that we answered this one. Will payment in other crypto be converted into NYM also? And I just answered this one. Currently not yet, but in the future, definitely yes, as soon as we find technical solutions for this in the pipeline. And I think that this is also a related question from ZM. Thanks for the question. Is there a bandwidth limit on the monthly subscription? Can you explain service versus bandwidth credentials? And I think this is something that we want to spend a couple of minutes on.
Yeah, for sure. So the way to think about it is not so much kind of a price per bandwidth per se. It's priced as a kind of monthly subscription, really, and then there is a fair usage on how much we kind of allow people to spend over that month. But we've put the fair usage extremely high. It's effectively unlimited. It's 2 terabytes, so you shouldn't really be feeling the limitation there. So the way to think about it is, you're paying a flat fee, monthly fee with that kind of, discount if you get a 1-year, 2-year subscription. And that's pretty much it. You're good to go. And then all the heavy lifting to kind of align that pricing with, how much it really costs to send bandwidth through the Mixnet, leave that to us. That's we're ground.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not really that there is a bandwidth limit. It's just like a traditional time limit because you're paying for like a time constrained subscription. whereas all the things related to bandwidth, as Jaya said, there's just the fair usage policy, which is something what all of the VPNs have, just to prevent us from anyone spamming the network. But other than that, it's not something what users should be concerned about or feel it in any way.
Exactly. And, I think that what we're also excited about too is to see this thing in live, see with actual users who pay for the service and how they use the service. And it's actually, we need to learn a lot to fine tune the network. There's a lot of room to improve efficiency everywhere, but we need to have actual real life users using it for actual real life tasks online so that we can optimize for this usage, basically. And that also ties into the integration part, but Beyond's question, like, is there another way to access the mixnet paid somehow? And also, yes, so you shouldn't, if our audience want to think about the mixnet, it's like one thing, and the reason it wants to stay one thing because that's what provides anonymity. If you cannot really imagine more mixnet, or it should be, and that's why it's hard to optimize for all these different transport protocols and use cases, and that's why a lot of thinking going into strategically how to improve for everyone. Cool.
I would like to add one little point to that.
Yeah.
So going back to kind of ZK NIMs, when we're talking about kind of credentials here, that does in fact, basically account for, like, what ZK NIMs effectively does is it accounts for your usage of the system. And that's quite important in the back end for us. Like, you won't need to worry about any of this stuff, but for the back end for us, it makes sure that we can actually reward our operators fairly, based on work that they've actually done routing actual real users' traffic. So in that sense, like, ZK NIMs are super important as a kind of accounting mechanism also, that does it, in a kind of privacy preserving way. And what that also means is that, when we go live with ZK NIMs, just a little note here, I'm guessing quite a few of you are currently using NymVPN on the kind of free pass tier. So what happens when we go live with ZK NIMs is those free passes are probably going to be out of date. So you'll probably have to renew in order to continue using NymVPN beta version for free up until launch. So, but I'll be putting out some more information about that. I just wanted to give some of you guys a bit of a heads up on that.
We have an extension question from Beyond. I think that ties in here too. Like, so would these other use cases slow down the growth of users and traffic on Mixnet? So does it matter for us how many users the Mixnet has? So getting that clogged, I think that's kind of the question here theoretically.
Slow down. So, like, technically, like, in the sense of kind of that now we have to kind of measure the traffic going through, or the fact that, or I'm not sure where the slowing down comes from.
I wouldn't think it would slow down. So
No.
Yeah.
I'm okay. My interpretation of your question, Beyond, and please do comment if it's wrong. My interpretation is, once we put a price on it, will enough people be willing to pay, and will we therefore slow down the adoption of the mixnet? Our research and our assumption is that no, we are seeing huge growth in the VPN market overall. I think it's like, let me try and dig out the numbers, but it's, I think it's like about 14% year-on-year growth is predicted for the VPN market, and which is, pretty large. It's already in the billions, and is more and more people needing VPNs. This is an unfortunate kind of side effect of increasing wars, increasing censorship, the splinternet, basically, kind of more and more geofencing happening on the internet. People need VPNs now to be able to access diverse content. So the VPN market as a whole is rapidly growing. Our bet is that, us putting out a, high functioning product with really strong privacy guarantees in that environment will put us in a very competitive place for adoption, because frankly, there's a lot of VPNs out there that can't live up to their privacy promises. So in our research and in our kind of hypothesis, getting the paid version of the Mixnet shouldn't slow down adoption too much. We're in fact very, very ambitious there. Rob, our head of marketing, has put in place an incredible marketing machine that's going to boost growth and adoption very, very quickly. So, the rest of us are scrambling to make sure we can keep up and make sure the infrastructure can hold as we start to see rapid growth. So, this is what we're kind of looking forward to over the next several months. So, fingers crossed that our hypothesis holds.
Fingers crossed. There's an additional question to marketing, but what I want to here. Yeah. So unfortunately, I cannot pronounce your name, well, friend. But when do we think that we will start marketing for Web2 people, housewives, and Instagram, TikTok teenagers too?
Immediately. Immediately. As I said, Rob, who I think has been on a community call before, he comes from the VPN industry, some of the big boys there, and knows the market incredibly well, and knows exactly how to reach Web2 people, the housewives, the Instagram and TikTok teenagers, because that's what he's spent the past many years doing, and he's exceptionally good at it. So we've built an incredible marketing machine that includes affiliate marketing and paid marketing, et cetera, et cetera. So we should start seeing that kick into gear as soon as we launch effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where those are these audiences where we need our community members' help too. And then there's a question from Rossio, which kind of going to illustrate what I mean, because Rossio asked in previous question, what would be our way to explain that NymVPN is synonymous with privacy for a normal user who believes that the competition is already selling privacy? So in other words, how could we easily explain to Web2 users and housewives that what we are selling is the real deal and the competition is maybe good for something, maybe don't, to preserve your privacy depending on the setup, So yeah.
I think like one of the the easiest pieces to explain is that most of the the competing VPNs, let's say, they're usually based on a centralized model, which means that we kind of just rely on their promise that they're going to protect our privacy, whether it's by them not trying to track what we're doing online or them not exposing logs of our activities to authorities, legal entities, and so on. The difference with NymVPN is that the way NymVPN is designed is that we just cannot keep any logs by design. We cannot keep any information by design, which would allow anyone to link an individual user to their online activities. And this is because our network is decentralized and all the nodes which are routing the traffic are run by independent people. They are not run by us, they're not run by our friends, they're run by actually independent people in different parts of the world. And those people, they have this incentive to perform this service because they're being rewarded. But that's the main difference, which kind of showcases, in my opinion, quite quickly that the privacy claims which we have are much stronger than the privacy claims which centralized VPNs do.
Absolutely. And sorry, go ahead, Jay.
No, I was just going to say that is exactly the argument. I'm trying to kind of think of a good metaphor here. Like imagine someone has a box, right? And there's a window on that box, and all the users, in a centralized VPN system, will be sending their traffic through that box, and the person that owns that box, that means the VPN company, can look there and see everybody's traffic, right? Now imagine Nym, we've got 5 boxes with no windows. We can't see what's going on inside those boxes. Even the people that own the boxes, meaning the node operators, can't see what's going on inside those boxes because there is no windows. That's kind of a little bit, and then there's even more to it with the mixing and everything like that. So
Or we could just say our very nice marketing slogan. Not sure if we use it eventually, but can't snitch, won't snitch. No, that's kind of really easy to sum
There you
it up.
go.
That all the other centralized companies actually have, linked user payment data, so they can point, anyone to a certain user who anyone inquires about as an authority or something. So there's data that people can give away to authorities if they really ask for it. Right? This happened across the board in the past years. This is what we cannot do. And also, I think that it's worth mentioning that there's usually questions around like the encryption between nodes, or can it be many in the middle, the packets. And I think that, with this box metaphor, the box owners only see the routing instructions on these packets, so they only know where they're coming from and where they're going, but nothing more. And this is kind of the magic inside our big mixnet box. Nice. Thank you for these answers. There's so many good questions, guys. Keep them coming, because I'm having a hard time keeping up with what we answered and whatnot. So let's just keep them coming. I think there's another question from Maximilian Song, tying back to fair usage limit, and I'm not really sure where is this number coming from. He's saying fair usage limit gives us 250 gigabyte traffic per month, and do we provide additional data package? If so, how it is priced? Is fair usage only applied to Mixnet or include DVPN traffic too?
No, so like we said earlier, when you buy the VPN subscription, that gives you 2 terabytes of data per month, and it's both for Mixnet and DVPN usage. So basically, we're trying to keep it as simple as possible. You pay for your subscription and you go. There shouldn't be all this extra added, data packages, add-ons, and so on, where all of a sudden you're paying a hell of a lot more than the price that we're actually showing. We have none of that. It's we're keeping it super simple, and I think we're pretty competitive on that front.
Absolutely. And one more question around the 2 modes from Papupad there. Nice to see you, friend. Been a long time. Thanks for the question. Will fast mode add noise to traffic on launch? Anya, do you want to take this?
Yeah, I can take this. So no, the answer is no. And in general, the fast mode, because it's the goal of the fast mode is to be suitable for use cases like web browsing. So it's by design not gonna have as strong privacy properties as the Mix network. We're not planning to add the same type of noise into the fast mode as what the Mixnet has, because that would potentially slow down this fast mode by introducing, some delays between sending the actual packets. However, what we're planning to do, and this is in our roadmap for 2025, is really to make NymVPN an app which can counter censorship. And while you're kind of working on censorship, not on censorship or like defeating censorship, we're going to look at the various steps of pluggable transport. There are mechanisms which we add when we establish the WireGuard connections, and the goal is to prevent the sensors from detecting that it's our WireGuard VPN connection and blocking it. And those pluggable transport do introduce some type of alterations in the way the traffic is being sent, including some noise, just to make it harder for the sensor to detect, even during the packets inspection, that this is an underlying WireGuard protocol. So in the long term, there will be some features which you can think a little bit as noise for the fast mode, but it's not going to be the same type of noise as it is in the mixed network.
And there's a fairly good, can I just add to that? There's a fairly good explanation. I think we should really think about what do you use the internet for, and even, it's also educating VPN users and NVPN users to be more conscious about their internet habits. So if you don't need Mixnet to get rid of all your metadata, use the two-hop mode, to stream videos and to participate on video calls. And then if you're gonna give your data anyway on some public domain, then you maybe even go without a VPN because you're giving away all your personal data by 2 clicks anyway. I mean, shouldn't do that. It's not the case, but by giving these 2 options and giving 2 very different use cases, I think we also help educate people on how to treat their digital bodies and privacy, in a more wholesome way, more integral way. I think. Thank you so much for the answer. There's another question. I think, hey, Alexander, thanks for the question. I think he's reframing Beyond's question. or maybe we haven't answered it fully. The question is, the number of people and their traffic directly affects the overall privacy of the entire network. Will the introduction of payment for its use slow down the growth of the network? Privacy loves company. I think that you already addressed, Jaya. Do you want to?
Well, I guess, yeah, this is a slightly different angle,
Yeah.
right? I think
Yeah.
what Alexander is referring to here is the anonymity set, and if we'll get enough users to supply a large enough anonymity set to actually live up to the privacy promises that we're making. Ania, what are your thoughts?
So, kind of by looking a little bit at the whole ecosystem, I think I understand that introducing payments might cost us a couple of users because there are simply people who opt for free tools. But looking just at the market of VPNs and the market of some privacy enhancing tools, a lot of them are paid. We want to be able to reward the node operators to ensure that they have provided a high quality of service. And because of that, we need somehow to translate the users into the income, which can be then used to facilitate the node operators. So I believe personally that over time, even having a paid product, we're gonna build up a big user space because there's a lot of people who really care about privacy. Yeah, it might take a little bit longer time, especially at the beginning, but I personally feel quite positive.
Yep. And we have cover traffic, so we've got additional anonymity coming from there. And I think if I've understood Rob's numbers correctly, we're actually looking at quite aggressive growth if our machine turns out to be as successful as we're hoping it. So
maybe we have a time for a last super long 4-part question from beyond. We can address it halfway and then talk about it later, maybe on the operator town hall. But let's put it on screen, and then I think we have enough time to do the announcement and the outro, unless there's short questions we can address quickly. So big question, part 1. Part 2. Recently, there were new server specs posted for operators. For example, it's necessary to have 10 gigabit speed port, which is quite large characteristics for servers. Accordingly, it is expensive, and it costs more than $150, he says, and we might have calculated with this that the token price will cover the cost of such servers. But the question is, I think that aren't we afraid of such expensive high-spec servers would cause centralization in our node operator infrastructure? And wouldn't we want to have smaller spec servers, but more of them and a bigger decentralized network? I think that is the question.
Yeah. So these are super good questions, Beyond. And it's something that I spend quite a lot of my time thinking about with Sarinko and the rest of the DevRel team also. The truth of the matter is, Nym, we're still kind of approximating optimal specs on Nym nodes. The kind of ways that we can arrange the topology of the network so that we can allow for more and more operators to come in as there's demand for it, but without reducing quality. So right now we have opted to go for quite beefy specs for the set of nodes that we're going to onboard onto our grants program, and that's to make sure that at launch we'll actually have good enough decentralization. So this is going to be quite a number of operators across the world, but that we know are actually running beefy machines. So, are we talking about 10,000 different people here? No, we're talking about good enough decentralization, which means, some hundreds of people to start off with. And then from there, as we see usage grow, and as we optimize both on the binaries and how traffic is routed, then we can we'll start being able to kind of distinguish a little bit more, and perhaps also have some sort of light node type of thing that people can run from their smartphones or whatever else. But that's kind of like a further down the roadmap. Right now, we're just trying to make sure that we have a good, strong core of decentralized operators that are running very good quality, high quality machines. I know that we're also looking into kind of ways of ensuring that DAOs can run multiple nodes on machines collectively, and this sort of thing, to kind of do a different, almost like a federated system. But yeah, there's a variety of options there. But rest assured that decentralization is never compromised.
And I just want to give a shout out to all our core community members here, Rocio, Beyond, Alexander, Papu, all of you, Uncle Lem. It's super nice to have you. And I think that we should really work together more, and the more feedback we got from you guys, that's gonna make us make better choices, or it's easier to plan together how to scale the infrastructure and we see the needs coming. So yeah, super happy that you're here with us since years now, and let's make this happen. I think there's no more time for questions. We just really have to get into the announcement now. So how, after all this context and details on the payment and the perpetual buyback mechanism, how can community members help test these payments? Where do they need to click? What's going to happen next?
Yes. So here's what's going to happen. We are going to go live with public testing of the payment mechanism next week. And we invite all of you in the community to help test our payment mechanism. And the way that you'll be doing that is we are inviting you to effectively buy 1 month subscription of NymVPN, which will give you a fantastic NFT by our NFT artist Neurocolor. It's a limited edition that he's created specifically for us. And then you'll also get guaranteed 3 months free usage of NymVPN after launch. So that's what we're offering, and we're hoping that lots of you are up for testing the mechanism. As we mentioned in this call, this is super innovative work. We've got entirely new system up and running with ZK NIMs. Ania, the whole research team, the whole dev team have been working super hard in making this actually happen. And we also have the perpetual buyback mechanism, and we really need to test both of these novel mechanisms before we can go live to the general public. All of our Web2 normies, all of our housewives, all of our teenagers who don't really care about this beefy mechanism in the back end and just need to be able to use the VPN as easily as possible. But for us, of course, it's important because we know this is the engine behind decentralization, and we know that decentralization is what can enable us to promise these, privacy features and guarantees that we're actually promising. So, yeah, please join us next week. Announcements will go out Monday, Tuesday, and you'll see the exact details of the deal. And we're hoping lots of you will join in and battle test this epic mechanism.
Yes, exactly. Not sure, should we mention the details of the deal? Some of them are super nice details, just to spread more alpha, or should we wait for the announcement? I'm happy to not spread more alpha on it, but we could always.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
so Andrew,
yeah.
so I think there is a question, will it be expensive? So it's literally the price, it's the prices that I mentioned earlier. So $12.99 US if you're paying in fiat, and then 50% discount off of that if you're paying in NYM tokens. Of course, it'd be nice if people pay in fiat because that also triggers the buyback mechanism, and you can really help kickstart this flywheel effect that we're hoping on the token economics. But I also know lots of you guys have been earning NYM tokens by running nodes and so on and so forth. So absolutely feel free to spend those also, and for your VPN needs. But yeah.
It's a weird moment when a crypto-based company asking people to pay in fiat if they can. No, it's like a one of a kind. I think that we wouldn't normally ask this, but this is really important to be tested for us now. Yeah, Just one thing I wanted to share as an additional alpha that maybe you said it, Jaya. I kind of missed it. That for buying 1 month subscription and testing the payments with us, all testers gonna get 4 months, 3 months free, the 4 months free usage of VPN in total. I think that's extra cool. And only the first 1,000 testers can get whitelisted for the Neurocolor NFT. So make sure to, test it quick or be amongst the first 1,000 who can claim the NFT with their NYM address. And I think that was it. We forgot to put the drum roll elevator music in, but I hope our audience imagined it. Rocio, I'm not sure what you're asking. Maybe rephrase it, and there's still some time to chime it in. Zcash payments, yeah. So to Anderson, Zcash payments not yet online in the first version, but definitely since we have an integration working with them, definitely gonna looking in how people can pay with Zcash too for NymVPN. Absolutely makes all the sense. All right. If there's no more questions, or maybe one more question, I'm not sure if we can answer this because I don't know the answer for this. When is the affiliate?
Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely. Yep, affiliate program is coming with a launch. Sudo and Katrina from the marketing team have been putting together the community affiliate program. Sudo will be back next week. I'm not sure if he's quite ready to announce the full details next week. It'll either be next week or the week after, but for sure we will have a community affiliate program, and we invite all of you guys to get involved because some of you are more expert on Nym at this point than even some of our team members, to be frank. So having you out there telling people about Nym and NymVPN is a huge benefit for us. So yeah, thanks, Crete. Rocio 12.99. It's the exact same. It's the same deal as before. There is no limit. There's just a fair use limit of 2 terabytes. So 12.99 will effectively get you 4 months of VPN usage for the price of 1 month. Plus, of course, you get the wonderful NFT if you're quick.
And just to summarize, for Serkan's sake, the first 1,000 testers who successfully purchase this 1 month subscription, after entering their account page, can enter a Nym wallet address, which they actually basically whitelist and can use that address to mint this limited edition NFT. I hope that answers your question. And more on that Monday, Tuesday with the announcement, right? With all the designs and the exact process descriptions. So, keep your eyes peeled on our channels as usual. And I think there's one last item which I really want to share, that of course there's a POAP today, what you can claim. And the secret phase is the name of the NFT artist. Whoever shares it in the chat first, I can verify if they paid enough attention in the call that. So who's our NFT artist, guys? Come on, and you can guess the POAP password. 5, 4, 3, no, oh no, 2, 1. Any guesses? One guess. Yeah, drum roll. Thank you for drum roll, Anderson. No guesses? Okay, so it's Neurocolor. And there's the secret phase is Neurocolor, and feel free to check out his work on Twitter or on a Super Rare. Extremely amazing NFT artist, super cool designs. Yes, Uncle M, bit late with the guess after the solution, but nevertheless, point scored. Nice one. So with that out of the way, I just really want to thank you, Jaya and Ania, for being here with us and with me on this community call. It has been amazing. I'm always super happy to be in your company. I feel a little dumb, but I think that's okay because that's normal with two of you. So I really hope that you enjoyed too. And any last words for our audience? Any encouragement for next week? Or yeah.
No, just please help us test. We put a lot of work into getting these mechanisms up and running, and like I said, it's completely new technology. It's really quite an innovative breakthrough. So the more people we have testing, the better. And thanks as always for being part of the Nym community and the Nym ecosystem. We hugely value everybody here.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. It was always a pleasure to be here. And as I have mentioned, all we actually need from you is help with testing it. The more you can test, the better for us. We always, value your feedback a lot and take it a lot into account.
With that said, huge thank you for the two of you and our audience. Please help us test the payment. This is the moment. We're living in the moment when we turn on privacy for real. Deep in Fly is gonna fly. So yeah, come with us on this journey, help us test, and have a nice weekend until then.
And thank you, Hacks, for hosting us. As always, a pleasure as well.
Anytime. I'm gonna tell Sudo that we all missed him very much. I can tell a secret, we have 5 more minutes. So he called me 20 minutes before this call to coach me on how to host and to made me recite the most important things, and I had to reassure him that I'm gonna do it good and I'm not super nervous. And so I really love you, Sudo. On this note, thank you for holding my hand from the ski slopes, even this, and we
You
miss
can
you,
now
of course,
call
from
him
here.
back and tell him that you
Yeah.
got a great feedback.
And I'm even gonna tell him I said it on live, so he's gonna see this on live. So yeah, nice. Thank you again. See you all soon. Let's test the payments.
Thank you so much, guys.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.